come do this beautiful makeup look with me. Yay! First, I started to use micellar water just to clean out my face a little bit. So there's like no dirt and things like that underneath. And I was breaking out a lot, so there was a lot I needed to cover as well. So I just wanted to make like a good makeup look and make sure everything was just sticking in. So I started off with a milk primer. I feel like this primer is really good to just keep everything in place and just hold everything, which is something that I struggle with because I have very oily skin. So it is a struggle to find a good primer. Then I went with my Glossier foundation, which is a little bit lighter than my skin tone, but that's okay because like we're gonna blend it in with something else afterwards. So just making sure I get all that foundation in my skin, like so. Look like a ghost. And then just make sure it's good under my eyes. Pat that down. Don't swipe like I just did there. Just tap it down. And then I went with my concealer from e.l.f. and I just made sure all the spots where I had pimples and things like that were gonna get covered nicely with the concealer. And then I use a small little brush to get all the small spots and spaces that would need more detail or more attention to. And I just pat it down as I was blending it all in. And as you can see, this concealer is a little bit darker, so it matches perfectly with the foundation and everything. And then I used my Anastasia eyeshadow. I use the color black just to make sure I put it all on my eyelid and crease. Then repeated the same process on the other side. I did cover the camera a lot, so I'm sorry about that. I was just so focused that I completely forgot. And then I went with the Q-tip just to take off some of that black eyeshadow and so that we could prime it afterwards. But for now, just to wipe it all a little bit off. Then I went in with my primer, eyeshadow primer, just so I can make sure that the gray was going to stand out from the black and everything was just going to hold it in place. You can use the one of your choice, but I did use one from Shein, which just works for me, so yes. And then I tapped it down with my finger just to make sure I get all the spots and just to get that nice and even. And then I picked a Juvia's Place gray palette. And I was a little confused which one I was going to do, but I feel like this gray that I picked was the best choice. It had a little bit of glitter, so it was very nice. So on the parts that was already wiped out with the Q-tips, I just added the gray eyeshadow and just made sure that I just blended in with the black and everything just so it can be nice and clean and smooth instead of just like a harsh line. And then I went with the black eyeshadow again, just a brush, no eyeshadow, and just blended in on the ends where the black was and also on top of the grayish and the black parts. With the Q-tip, I went and I cleaned that up a little bit and then just fluffed it out with the brush again so it can just be like smooth. And then with the sponge, I just cleaned out the wing part of my eye. I didn't want to do a wing, but I feel like this look was just better without it. And then afterwards, I did my eyebrows and I just used a gel for my eyebrows just to hold them in place. I usually don't do my eyebrows. I don't know how to, so I just try that. And then I use my contour, also from Shein, and it just works for me, but you can also just use the one of your choice. So I just put it on my cheekbones, on my chin area, a little bit on my nose, and on the tip of my nose as well. Then I just blended that nicely with a contour brush. So I use a circular motion on my cheeks and on my chin area, I use more of a straight line kind of motion so that we could get a very strict line on my chin and like a more volume on my cheek area so that it could just have two different contrasts. And on my nose, as you will see soon. Oh, I had to add a little more because I just didn't love how flat it was kind of looking. And then on my nose, I just blended it in a straight line so that it could just give me like a fine defined nose. So that's all of it blended in. Then I went with my setting powder. I'm not too sure what brand this is. I did buy it on Amazon, but I'm not too, I don't know which one it is. I cleaned out my lips a little bit. So I put a little bit of the setting powder. I usually don't like to put a lot because I just want more of a natural look. I don't want it to stand out too much on my eye area or nose area. So I just put a little bit on under my eyes, on the tip of my nose, and the bridge of my nose, and on my chin, just so that those are the most oily parts of my face. So I just wanted to make sure that they stay in place. And just to also set everything in because I didn't have a setting spray today. So I just wanted to use that. And I also put a little bit under my nose as well, and a little bit on my forehead. Then I used my brush after I blended all of that in, and I just brushed the excess out. That's a Juvia's Place blush, and I just used a more red tone-ish, I would say. And I just put it on my cheeks in a circular motion, and I also put it on the bridge of my nose, tip of my nose, a little bit on my forehead, and my chin area as well. If there's any excess, I usually just go with my sponge, but it just created two harsh lines, so I had to go back in with the blush brush and just redo it again, which just gave it a nice tone. Then I went with my highlighter. I believe this is from CoverGirl. Don't quote me though. I can't remember. And I just went in on my cheekbones, on the bridge of my nose, and my chin as well. And I blended that in with my fingers so that it could just have like a smoother tone to it. And yeah. Again, for any excess, I just went with my sponge and just blended that in. And then I went with my glitter palette from Fenty, and I just placed it on the spots where I had put the highlighter on, just to make them pop out a little more. And then I went with the Q-tip and just put it on the inner of my eyelids. And then I wanted to put some jam, so I decided to put three dots on each side of my eyes. I wanted to do like on both sides, but I just feel like the middle section was just better. And once it was a little bit dried up, I just went with the gems and just started placing them where the dots were. And then to keep it all in place, I just went with my fingers just to press it a little bit more and they could just stabilize a little bit better. And then I lined my lips, not overlined it or underlined it, just right on the bridge of my lips and everything. And then I wanted to do like that popular trendy lip look, but I just don't think I nailed it as much as I could have. But just to smooth out the lines and then just blend it in as much as possible, especially with my fingers, just to get that nicely and just a shadowy look, a voluminous, shadowy look on the lips, I would say. That's kind of what I was going for. And then I did it on the bottom lip as well. But it just didn't come out too good. So I just left it alone on the bottom lip. I literally drank some wine and it came right off. So I was like, not having it. And then I went with my Glossier blush and I just put it on the sides where it wasn't black, just to give me more of a rosy lips. And then it was time for eyelashes and lip gloss. And that is the final look. I decided to go with a different lip gloss. I feel like the pink was just a better standout than the other one. But yeah, this is the makeup, the full makeup look, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.